Hi there, I'm Rob. Welcome to Rob's Models, and today going to be starting a new kit. This is Tamiya's Supermarine Spitfire Mk.1, 48 scale. Now, a couple of years ago, I did actually review this, and I've got to admit, I wasn't massively impressed. One of the reasons is because I'd just not long before that had actually built almost the sister kit to this, which was the 109, which was not only really detailed, it also had loads of options where you could change cowling, so you could see the engine, different positions for flaps, those sort of things, make it a bit more poseable. And then when I done the box review of this one, I've got to admit, with those features weren't there. There wasn't that functionality in there, and it did kind of seem a little bit boring. Got to admit, maybe I was a little bit blindsided by that, and actually that then wasn't really noticing the detail in there. And it is a very detailed kit. It just doesn't have some of that posability or the options there. So I thought I'll start this one. Plan is to actually live stream this one with the build. However, I was looking through the instructions just to get an idea on things, just to recap myself on this one, and actually thought, especially for this first part, it's a lot of detail sort of going in on the cockpit, and actually looking through the instructions, it kind of seems that quite a lot of it is being spent. There's even photoetch in there for the cockpit, different details on here. And I thought what's going to be best is, instead of live streaming this, especially the start bit, is to sort of do the record the build, but maybe just do a bit of editing on this first part, purely because there's going to be a stop start whilst we wait for paint to dry, little detailed bits, try and keep in as much as what we can. I mean, to be honest, what first might happen is I'm going to have to put down a layer of silver for then there to be as sort of like the metallic base, then for the cockpit green to be going on, then for the detail to be going over there. And in order to mask stuff up, it might just best do this in lots of little stages, essentially get that cockpit together, and then maybe once managed to get that all start coming together, once we actually get onto the later stages, then we can probably sort of start live streaming those bits. But I'm thinking it's just going to be a lot of literally watching paint dry otherwise. And you can see it is quite a lot of this is focused on the cockpit, so you can see that kind of where it's gone. And then once it's just comes to putting it together, it's actually just quite a simple. Yeah, there's obviously a few little bits, radiators and stuff to go in, but yeah, mainly is detail there. So we're going to start not necessarily on part one. We will obviously start on part one, but mainly first of all, we're going to be looking through. Now I've just did go through with the Tamiya codes, and what I've done. Actually, I've done this a lot nicer in a spreadsheet, but basically just went through of what the Tamiya codes are, what ones they are in the Vallejo, also then cross-reference that into MRPs, those sort of things. So we'll work out what paints. So a little bit of a crib sheet there. As I say, I've got a neater version. Details will go up on the website as well. And I've also just made a few little pencil marks on here, just as a little reminder. So when, for example, I see AS12, I know that's the Tamiya's code for the spray can of the bare metal silver. So that's actually what we're going to be using first. We've also got to drill a few little holes, those sort of things in there. So I reckon that's what we're going to start on. So I think it's just now going to be a case of getting the sprues out. And let's get on with this. So we'll start removing pieces. Actually, straight away, before I even do that, there are some options. We're going to want to make sure we sort these options out. So you've got the A, B and C option. I had a look, they're all quite similar in the can pattern, but what I've decided, and the reason why we're going to need to make these options, because it's going to work out which internal structure we use, and there's also two options whether it's going to be canopy open or canopy shut. So just to go through this, going to be having it so it's the A, which is the one on the box art. So that is the box art one. We're going to go for that. As I said, they're all quite similar. So we thought we'll go for that one, and going to go for canopy open. And there's going to be some little differences to which side panels you use. So it's just going to be making sure that you use the right side panels, which bits I need to open. There's going to be bits that need to be removed. So it's just going to be a little bit taking that detail off, and then once we've got those bits, prepping it, and then trying to get a bit of silver on there. So there we go. Let's And let's give that a go. So we will take this one's first of all. So first off the bat, let's remove the fuselage halves. You can see we've got some quite nice detail in there. So although we start with the cockpit, we still need to prep the fuselage bits, then we go onto the cockpit itself, which then sort of drops in. So just to explain, we build up the cockpit tub, and then when the two halves come together, that's when we actually put it in. So we build all these bits up, detail the sidewalls, whereas often with a more modern model, more of a jet, it's a bit more likely just to come together in one. So there's the two halves there. Now what we're looking for is we're going to be going for the open canopy. So that is going to be B20, which is here. And sweeping this out here and do the other side, and then the open canopy version on the port side is B19, which is also here. The difference is mainly going to be, if we just compare it to the one on this side, it's going to be a little door, the little door that opens up. So you can see I've still got the little, I'll remove this bit here. There's a little bit of sprue in the middle, just obviously to keep it straight. But you can see there's where the door opens. I'm not too sure when the canopy opens. I mean, it's fundamentally going to look pretty much the same, but we can see there's a little bit recessed there, which I think is just going to give it a bit more room for the canopy to slide back over. So when it goes back, so the obvious part is we're missing the doorway, but you can see here there's a stepped bit there that isn't on there. I think that was going to be the only details there that's different. So at the moment, oh, and we're going to take A39 as well, which is the receiving part for the wheel well. The rear wheel is this sprue A39, should be there. It just goes in. So at the moment with parts 2, right, okay, we're going to skip for now. We're skipping part 2. So what I want to do is prep this part here, which is literally fuselage half side wall, and then fuselage half side wall. Then that's going to need the painting, and get those bits on, because and then we want to paint that up. Then we can start going on to the detail once we've got that, and this is going to need to be done in 2 ways. So we're going to want to get the silver on first, then going to put the cockpit green over the silver. So the whole of that we're going to paint silver. The reason I'm going to do that is I'm going to put sort of a chipping thing. So hopefully, once the with the wear, instead of actually then trying to add scratches afterwards, actually sort of chipping medium. So we will literally be showing the bare metal under. That's the plan at least. So there's going to be a few other bits. Get these bits together, and then also go through, find out which other bits would have the would-be aluminium with the cockpit green sprayed on top, and then we'll spray all of those the aluminium to start off with. Hope that makes sense. If not, follow along it. Hopefully it will do. But for now, these are the parts. And before I forget, this is where we could straight away you're gonna have to make an option. So for B and C, and let's have a look with this part here. For B and C, we'll actually be removing a little section here. these little bits hanging down. B and C, that comes off. However, we are doing the A option, so we're going to be keeping that on there, I believe. Yeah, B and C, that just comes off. Great. Double check. That will come over there. Okay, so that fits in nicely and just slots in, and whereas the natural panel lines would be. I don't think I need to do it. We'll do a little bit of neatening up where that tab is on the top. That was a sprue removal tab. Yeah, that's fine. I'm not removing something that should have been there. Should be the same on the opposites. Change this stick C. So for now, we're just going to pop these in here. That one on that side did it. Right, I'll neaten this up properly in a bit. And again, we're going to pop this on there and then just spray the green over once we get this in. No point doing it separately. Just check that fits flush. There's a few little bits, which is a different sounding stick. A few little areas there where it come off the sprue. It won't be seen, but they might adjust it fitting flush. On that side, there we go. Do that one as well. What I will do is I will go over. No, I've not actually done the fuselage halves yet. I'll probably get that glue on there. We can do that in a moment. There we go. I did notice there's a little notch bit there. Doesn't really need to be a notch bit there, but I guess it all just helps it line up. And let's get the first bit of glue on. We've got quite a good step going around there actually as well. So I'm just popping that liberally around there. Also coming in from the bottom with the glue, don't know if you notice I'm coming from this angle. The idea is that I can be a bit more liberal with it, because then when you're looking down from the top, when it's actually done, you're not really going to be seeing any blobs of glue. Oh, you don't get the blobs with this, but you can see the little marks whereabouts it welds it. This is right at the back. Now this, I don't think it's really going to be visible anyway. And what's quite good is that piece, because there's this bit that goes along here, on the outside, it actually comes flush with that panel line. So that connecting piece is actually hidden away. Same on the other side. So again, just neaten up. I don't think this one felt just a moment ago when I was drying it to fit in a lot more snugly. Again, this side, pop that there. You can see we've got that nicely in place. Make sure that pushes up. Make sure we've got a bit excess coming through there. Smooth that off. I'm going to put that much on, but it obviously bled through. Yeah, actually, too many. We'll need to neaten up a little bit. I'm not going to actually obviously stick this together yet. I'm just going to put the two parts together just to check that they fit flush. Yeah, I'm going to have to do clean up there because we're going to have a big gap, you can see there. But that is just because clean up needed. And on the bottom there, you can see sprue joins there. But if we ignore that part, then yeah, that all comes together quite well. Mainly just wanting to check that these parts are sort of pushed in enough. Right, so in a moment we're going to be painting that. Let's look at, give those a moment to dry before we get any paint on that. Almost forgot, whatever this bit here is, this goes in like so. It's, the wheel goes, no need to clean this up. And I think the reason for this part here goes in like so. Make sure that's straight. What I'm going to do, I'm not going to glue this. I know I don't want any excess glue to go. I just want to make sure this isn't straight, so it goes in with a little locating tab there. Probably should have removed those. So yeah, there we go. Just wanted to make sure. And so, sorry, going back to this. No, the reason this is going in is because the landing gear, the rear wheel, will go in here, and I think it will be so that you can actually put it in as much as you want. So if it's going to be an in-flight model, and you've got the landing gear, it will be extended a bit more because the weight's off of it. If it's on the ground, the suspension is going to be contracting, so therefore you would push it in further. I believe that would make sense if it was. So that's that done. Actually, before we go on to the other parts, I'm going to forget otherwise. I'm going to drill some little holes in there. So, I mean, considering this isn't for options, this is for all of them. It does seem a bit odd. What is odd is it actually only has here 1, 2, but there's actually 2 holes there, but actually 3. So it's obviously something there. I'm just going to check what would be going in on that side. Just to make sure I put the right holes in the right place. And I cannot see anything that would go there. So just double check. So this is starboard side. What would go? That does seem a little bit odd. That's asking us to drill these little holes in. A 6mm one, and or 0.6 and a 0.8. But there's no reason for, nothing seems to be getting attached. Unless I'm missing something very obvious. Right, what have we got here? No, you don't go there. It's not that side. And again, nothing there that looks like it would go. It's a photoetch, no aerials, nothing to go in there. That is very odd. However, there is a little hole there and there is a little hole there, so maybe they are just purely aesthetic, well, not aesthetic, just outlets, drainage, ventilation, something like that, I don't know. We will put them in there. Seems so it wouldn't be, but yeah, obviously there were holes in there for a reason. So I need a 0.6 and a 0.8. Probably that's the 0.8. And the 0.6 would be the small. I think that would be the 0.6. Pop in the little drill. We'll do the 6, 8 first of all. No, that's a 0.7. Are we really being that pedantic? That's the 0.8. That's the 0.7. That makes sense. Let's do the 0.6. Right, let's do the 8 first of all, as that's the one in my hand. Right, you can, I'd sometimes use those by hand. I was doing that one there. But this, by putting it into a little pin vise, it does give you a little bit more control on it. Let's just do that on the other side. Okay. There's one. I can't help but feel that I might be over complicating this by doing this. We're here now. It's the lower of the two there, or lower of the three. So filing has just blocked it again. Just open that back out. So slightly smaller hole there. So I think that's mildly pedantic. But no, I guess it's all part of it, all part of modelling. I thought there was going to be a bit more to it than that. Actually, let's just check the pocket and drill away. No other bits that need drilling out. It was literally just those two little holes there. At least we're done. Get rid of that. And now, okay, these detail bits, those are going to silver parts there. Actually, I might even just spray those on the sprue silver. Something here where this part here, A29. If we're going to be doing that, we'd be chopping off the top part. So different controls there, and in fact, yeah, you can see there. So the full version, or the trimmed down version there. And again, if we're using, yeah, just trimming off bits. We'll paint these bits on the sprue. Literally, as I say, just give them a coat of silver on the sprue, including these parts here. Actually, let's take these off so we'll know where they are. A44. Where was A? Which one was A? A44. It is. Oh, it's right there, so I'm looking right at it. So it's this part is basically the floor, builds up to be the cockpit tub. We want A5. Which is smaller than I thought it was going to be. These other parts we will, as I say, because they're going to be small, we're going to want to keep them all together, paint on the sprue. We're going to need to be putting photoetch on there as well. We'll do that in a bit. A27 goes onto A28. I'm wondering how much of this I should actually build up. And then paint the detail whilst it's on. A6. Yeah, so some of these bits I do want to sort of build up before we do anything. So the chair, it's all going to be cockpit green. Again, the chair is going to be metal. Let's have a think about this. Yes, 12. I know that's going to be getting painted as well. Oh, and actually, before I forget, one up that underside. So here, and I want to do this part here as well. So let's just take that out. Might want a few coats of this anyway. So, this is going to not get too confusing. Paint there, and then paint those bits with the silver, these bits with the silver, and then, actually, before I do that, I was going to put these bits together, just the part of this, essentially, dashboard. Give that a little rub down first. Seems to be taking me a bit longer than I thought it was going to be. It just seems to be quite a fiddly kit to start off with. Lots of going straight in for some quite fine detail. There's a little photo etch bit that also needs to be done as well. Actually, I'm going to have to think. I did want to secure this on. That would go. Okay, yeah. It's lucky I noticed that. So this bit will go on here. Let's put it a little bit tighter. So we've got this bit here that goes on here, instrument panel. Other little bits of detail come together, and that sort of builds on. However, there's a little bit here where photo etch part that gets done on the previous needs to go in there. There's a little hole, and there's two little location tabs there. So I was going to build this up just to put it together, just ease for painting, but I'm not going to want to do that now. because that's going to need to go in the middle of it. That laminates together. I'm not going to get into photo etch just at the moment. These, where the sprue goes, is not really going to be visible, but as it's going to be making up the cockpit tub, those little tabs might only stick out a fraction of a millimetre, but if it stops the cockpit closing up flush, worth just taking off now. Okay, I reckon I'm going to start getting some spray on here. So what we'll do, put a little bit of kitchen roll there, just only a little bit. I'm going to use this. So this is flat aluminium colour. No, sorry. This is actually, it's silver on the instructions. If you actually look at the one, it says bare metal silver, which my thinking is a bit more shiny than aluminium because it's got flat aluminium. So I'm going to go for this, which is the Extreme Metals, AK Interactive Extreme Metals. I'm going to go for the polished aluminium one purely because I've got a couple of pots of this. I know it's strictly not silver, but it's also very similar to a silver one that I've got, so I thought I'd use this. Pop this down, and it's just going to be the base coat. It's an enamel one. It should go down quite thin, so I'm just going to put a little bit of here and there, and then all of these bits that would be going either staying as the aluminium or getting the cockpit green over it. Then at least we know we can sort of chip that and actually have that as a base. So I'll just turn that on. Pop a bit in here. So I'm only using a little of this. Now, to be honest, I haven't put down a primer, which I probably should do, because this does prefer to have a primer. If this doesn't work and it does come off, then we'll just have to do something else. Right, so we're just starting to get through a bit of thinners that I'd actually put through first of all. Now we're starting to get to some silver. I should really be having the extractor on and the mask, but I'm just doing a little bit and I've got the window wide open because it's quite warm. So we're going to start almost at the final part here. So I'm just going to do this section here. So this is really the bottom of the cockpit. There's no point masking it off because it only shows you what's going to be that's going to be painted. So there's no point. No one's going to see the bare plastic. It's a little bit blotchy, but that's fine. That's a bit of a low pressure, but you can see it's got a bit of shine to it. And so with no primer, it's not as good as it should be, but oh, we're definitely catching the light there. Let's put that to the side for now. And then do these internal parts. So literally going back to the beginning. But basically this entire section that might be visible. So here would normally just be bare metal. The front bit would actually be the cockpit green. So we're going up to there and then up to there. Got to give it a speckled coverage there. I'm probably going on a bit too thick. And also because it's not got a primer. Same again on this side. It's probably, you can see it is quite speckled, not getting a... Yeah, I should have, really should have put a primer on that. Okay, this, as it's the internal bit that no one's really seeing, it is actually, if anything, working as a primer. Where should we go with this? Actually, let's put this at the back, because that's where no one's going to see. Oh, I'm just blowing out clean air at the moment. I'm regretting using this one at the moment now, or at least not priming properly. Maybe a little bit in there. Doing okay. Seem to be having a leak. Oh, that doesn't help. I didn't have the it screwed on properly. I could just feel it against my hand there. That's not good. Pop that on there for a moment. That's better. Getting a bit more even coverage now. Whilst I wait for those to dry, we're going to go back to the instructions, basically find all the bits, all of these sort of detail bits that go in here, which hopefully were all on. Actually, I'm going to get this out of the way just by spraying another quick. Oh, that went on a lot smoother now. I feel screwed the airbrush on properly. Okay, should have done that. Right, let's get that over there. I mean, I can always come back to this if I do miss bits, but it's always nice if I can get it first time round. And of course, photoetch bits would need to be painted as well. So let's work our way through. So we've got what's this? A2. Oh, they're not in any order. A2, 29, 24, 16. We've got to find. So A2. I'm going to do it in the order in here so I don't miss things, even though that's more complicated finding things. 29 is there. 24. I'm confident I probably could just do all of these little bits on here. 24, 16. Then we're going to find 17. Now we've got different versions of the little some of these bits depending on what version we're doing, I think. No, we haven't. Oh, G10, that's the photo etch bit, I think. Yeah, okay, A22. A23. Looking good, A23. A30. A30. Oh, we've got A22, that's fine there. A21. A15. And now we're blowing clean air again. A3. So we've got A15, A3, A1. And we can see we've got a variant. Well, actually for A, I'll be removing all of that. We've already painted that bit. That's photo etch that will go over. Oh, is that? Why does that say? Hang on. Not get ahead of myself. That is E, D in E. No, that's fine. Those bits done. So always any small bits that I miss. Remember, this is really just to give the undercoat. That went down a lot smoother now. Get back the airbrush and even without a primer, that's actually getting quite a nice finish on there. Still a little bit blotchy in places. But that's fine. I can live with that. Right. fine. We'll be coming to there. Actually, we've got a few more of these bits. That's fine. Back onto the A's. So the seat parts, A33 through to A32 through A33. Actually, and these bits here, to be honest, it's quite obvious what bits we're doing. And I know I keep saying it, but bear in mind these bits most of these bits will be the cockpit green anyway, but as they were metal with the cockpit green painted over, we're putting on the metal first, then we can literally naturally really chip the cockpit green. That's fine, that's good. A bit there, the seat parts here. That's all okay. Everything there. I don't know what that is. Let's give it a go. And there was something else I remember seeing somewhere along the line. These go together. There it was here. There's a bar that goes across. We've done that bit. Now the wheel wells. The version that we're doing is X21 inside, which actually the top of the wheel wells XF21, which is actually XF21 double check. I believe, yeah, that's the underside colour anyway. So the internal wheel wells, but that's the bit I want to do. AS12. So this spar that goes across. I don't know whether it means on the inside. Oh yeah, of course it would be on the inside. So that's where about the detail is. We got that, and now, for now, internal bits there, and so those bits, internal details, that's the silver. Would be if we're doing options B or C, but we're doing A, and those bits are actually the underside colour. I think the bit that we got here is we want to do that strut there. For the wheels, so I think I just ran out there. I thought I'd used it all up. There's literally one final bit there. There we go. That was B5. Where was B5? That's A. There we go. So this bit here. You'll probably need neatening up because of course I am doing it on the screw, so you have the little attachment points. But we're getting the main part on, that's the main part. For now, that's okay, we don't need to worry about any of that. Oh, one thing that I do want to do is, before I forget, I remember we went right back to the very beginning, We said that there was actually a where the door goes, the door folds out when the cockpit is open, and we're going to find that door piece and just spray the inside of the door, because that would also be the cockpit green with the silver underneath. And I cannot find that on the instructions there, so it should be quite obvious. Probably be one of these pieces. Got two different versions. I'll do both, just on the inside. Yeah, that's fine. Don't know what that is, but we'll spray it anyway. I've got the little lightning holes in there. In theory, could try drilling them out. I don't think they can be seen. Put a wash in there, and that'll make them black. But that's actually, especially in the sides of the chair and stuff, if we do think they're going to be a bit more visible, then we can drill them out. If it was a larger scale, then I probably would do. Okay, that's coming okay. That's actually taking this quite nicely. And I think that's that. Okay, so I think what we're going to do now is going to leave that there. Leave this overnight to dry, just because it's the enamel paint. Although it seems to be going dry quite quick, because I'm going to be I wanted to make sure it goes on, properly, especially as we're going to now be painting over with probably an acrylic paint. So I want to make sure that this properly dries. Being an enamel, it will be touch dry quite quickly, but it'll be a bit slow. So I'm now going to clean up the airbrush, and then come back when we're ready to go for the cockpit green, and hopefully start getting a few other bits coming together as well. So we've left the polished aluminium overnight, so that has now cured, and that's a lot tougher now. Idea is masked up whereabouts there's going to be the bits that are still going to be staying aluminium, and going to spray over the cockpit green. I haven't put any chipping solutions or anything on here, to be honest, because what I might try to do is just try to break this down a bit more naturally, I think, just in places, and if none of the scratches do actually come through, then that's fine. Well, it at least gives it a primer. So what I'm using now is the Vallejo. So this is the cockpit green one. I've marked it just as cockpit green, but it's the 71.126, and I've actually got that from a little pack that I've got of Vallejo paints. So it's just going to be a quick case of putting some of this on into the airbrush. A few drops in there, and we'll start with these parts first, and we've got a few other little bits on the sprue that we'll also do. I'm going to be building the bits up, so this will probably need a bit of touching up once things are built. Right. So you're starting to get the colour come through. Just start doing this lightly over here. Just some very light passes just to get it going. In fact, that's so light. There we go. Okay, not that heavy. So these bits here will need to be assembled. We know we've got some photoetch that's going to be sandwiched between. No doubt when it's assembled it will need another bit of paint on it, but at least it gives us a bit of a base to start working with. we do have some items on the sprue, some of which I'd already painted with the silver and some of which I hadn't. I should have waited for that to dry properly before flipping it. I've masked up some bits here. There were some side bits, so I've masked those up, just leaving the central part. What did I do with this one yesterday? I think I just stuck it on a bit of cocktail stick. Hole there. Yeah, that just grabs it enough. And this section here. So I'll do this, and then we've got all those other little details that need to be added on, all the controls, all the little extra dials. That's needed to come from the underside. That's why I want to get this on first, because then that gives me, I can then, know everything's on there before I start putting all those little bits on. And doing it in a multi-stage fashion. I've still got that here. It's going down a bit more smoother and deeper now. The larger items definitely just needed a bit of a dusting just to give it a key. Especially over that metallic. But AO I do find does actually take quite a while to dry. So we're going to pop some over the seats, or the parts of the seats. Of course, some of these will need further painting and details picking out, that's fine. There we go. Pop a bit more in that in there. A few more drips. Where was I? What was I doing? That's this part here. And some of these bits will also be having photo etch added to it as well, and then that photo etch is going to need to be painted. And I'm fully aware of that, so I'm aware that some of the work that I'm doing here probably won't even be visible. Just a bit of drying on the tip. Let's just give that a clean. There we go. And of course, being on the sprue, I still need to neaten it up and tidy it up when it comes off, which would still need a bit of a touch up of paint as well. inside of those doors. Some of these bits probably will need, but I'm going to leave them because they're going to need sort of details picked out, and it will be easier just for those small parts, just to pick that out with a little bit on the end of a brush. There's a few other little parts on here that need to be done. If I'd been complete, I should have actually done these with the silver first. That's fine. I mean, even if the silver method doesn't work, you can just still do the dry brushing technique, which is what I would have done anyway. And we have the instrument panel there, which I forgot about yesterday. I think we're done, but before I tidy up, it really was that quick, so we should be fine there. In fact, whilst it's still wet, I could even just gently rub that. I won't, but because otherwise I'll be getting my finger too much in there. Sorry, focus has gone crazy. So what I could do is I could get my finger in there, and let's see. There we go. Stay focused. Hopefully that's not been like that too long. Could have got my finger in there and just rubbed that, but whilst it's wound up taking off too much. But you get the idea. Once it's dry, I will actually add a little bit more paint on. Well, I've got to admit, I got slightly carried away and forgot to record what I was doing. It started being a bit of prep, then carried on to a little bit of a bit more preparation. One thing that I will say is, with the, can't really see it on here, but with the dashboard, so to speak, that's painted black, put decals on there. Actually, before putting the decals on, I did dry brush with a bit of silver just so the raised detail raised around whereabouts the dials are. Put the decals on, they were absolutely sort of terrible, and then one little application of this come back the next day and they had settled in perfectly in line with whereabouts the dials were. Didn't bother doing any more dry brushing, and I did contemplate putting some blobs of this over whereabouts the dials are just to sort of do the screen, but they do actually seem to have a bit of a sheen, so I did contemplate doing that just to have that glass look. I don't think, to be honest, it's worth it because it does actually have a little bit of a sheen on there anyway. So what we've really got to do now, I should have actually done some of this before putting it together, was to put in the put in the photo etch, some of the seat belts. So we're just going to do that. Let me just change the focus on here. Right, turn that weird focus thing off. Should have done that. There we go. Okay, so that'll keep it there. So what I've already done is I've done a couple of applications of the khaki XF52, I think that was it. No, that's Flat Earth, but no, whichever one it was, XF49. So a couple of applications of that. Admittedly, it probably has gone on a little bit thick because some of the little holes that were in there have now got covered. But yeah, I probably should have. So first application was really just the primer, then the second application got it on. We'll pop that in there, as I should have done it before, so it might be a little bit tricky doing this. Once that's in there, we're going to give it a wash. So panel wash, by that I mean sort of like the panel line accent of the dark brown one seems to work quite well for this sort of thing, and that should hopefully tie everything together and pull out some of the raised detail. So I'm going to be putting this in with some super glue. So I say this would have been a lot easier to have done if I'd actually got these bits first, and you know, it should be fine. So we'll start here, where let's move that so it's more in focus there. Here This is from the photoetch bits 7 and 8. So let's take the scalpel blade and take off 7 and 8. So 7 is the longer one. I've got to admit, isn't the best paint job on here. The idea is that once this is in place, I can always just do a bit of touching up as required. If it had been the Edward photoetch, this probably would have been coloured anyway. So you can probably barely see it, but I've got the two little bits of photoetch there. One was the longer one, which was the 7. So we put, it looks like, okay, so just need to check whereabouts that goes. So number 8 goes underneath through a little slot, that goes down there, and the one on the port side wraps around. So that was the short one first, and that will go through a little slot there. So I will move this into shots, make it a bit easier to see. I have here, about there, that'll do. A little bit of Tamiya tape, and on there it's going to pop a little ball of super glue. And here, pop the bubble on the top. Just going to pop the blob of super glue just to the bottom of where that hole is there. Take number 8, which way was top, and the tweezers, which I should have got ready before I started, and that can just go through. That should just go through the little slot. Make sure it goes in the right way up. Goes in like so. And then I'll push that down. Work out how far through it goes. Push that down on that side. And now we've got a little strap in there, and the buckle has just come through. Little hole there. The other side, the buckle goes on the outside, but no little hole for it to go on, so just a dab of glue there. In fact, this would be a bit easier if I used my photoetch picky uppy sticky stick. Blob of sticky stuff on the end of a needle, basically. And then I can pop that into place there. It would be better if super glue had as much stick as what that did. Let's try that again. Just using the tweezers. Going to reverse engineer this one. Put the glue there. Anyways, whatever was on the tweezers was more sticky than the glue. This is not grabbing. There we go. I'm just going to have to wait a moment for the glue to dry before I start trying to bend it around. But whilst we wait for that to dry, I've already put that bit of photoetch on there. It's this strap here, which is A3, which is that one there. We'll remove this next. And that one will go through and link up onto that rear plate. Hopefully that should have now dried a bit. We can just carefully try to ease that one down. Let's try that again. As you can tell, the issue I'm having is it's sticking to the tweezers more than anything else. Almost got it bent round. And there we go. Now one is sat on top of the other, so I'm just going to move it slightly, otherwise it just covers it up and you don't see the bottom one. That'll do. Now ready for this one to go through. So we can see this one gets attached, goes through, and then I need to pull. Well, actually, we're not putting the feather in there. Oh, we've got a little jig that we need to take off. I believe this just makes sure. Where is it? This little jig here is just to make sure when we're doing this we don't move anything out of shape whilst the glue dries. Seems a bit overkill, but I could be surprised. Before putting those extra bits of harnessing on and bending it to place. So where does that... That's going to thread through there, on top there. Now it looks like there should be a notch, but I can't see a notch. How do we do that? Threaded through. Onto there. Well, I have a feeling that super glue has dried a bit too much. So I'm going to put a big blob of it under there where it hopefully won't be seen. Just coming from that angle as well, just to really try to secure it onto that frame. So we've just got that on there, and I believe this bit here will now just slot over here. The notches at the rear. Okay, so that will ensure the distance between these bits doesn't move, to make sure everything's all then square for when it goes into the drop it into the cockpit. From here we're going to add some extra pieces on. So A4, what have I done here? Hang on, attaching seat harness with pilot. Take that one out before it dries. That is the wrong one. Let's take that out. We want the attaching without a pilot, which is different straps. Okay, so that is going to be wider, so that would go over the pilot's head. Oh, I thought there was a lot of straps going on here. Attaching seat harness without a pilot. Still saying about using that little jig though, so we'll use it, and that is A4. Take this off. Make sure. So there's a lot of straps going on. Right. Then what I need to do is, before I put this through, I need to then locate that and bend up A2. We take A2, and this needs to be bent back on itself. There's not an actual place for it to bend by the look of this. It's just a bit further up. Let's see about that. Hang on, it says 9mm. Okay, so the length of that is 9mm, just under a centimetre, and these on here are a centimetre. So we know if I hold that about there, using that as a guide, a little bit further up, bend that about there. We should have bent that at about the 9mm mark. Let's see how we get on with that. And then these bits apparently need to, it looks like it slots into a hole there, but there's not holes there. Just lost it. There it is. Well, they probably were, but of course with the paint on, that's not going to happen. So what I'll do, little mini tabs on the bottom of this that should have gone through a hole that obviously has got paint covering up, because it'll be literally a pinhole. Trim those off. A little bit of glue on here. That goes up to whereabouts the buckles are. And now we got that in place. Push together. Now we're working with this. I don't know if you saw that, I was focused on this, not the camera. And it looks like this opens out a little bit, so that this bit here goes into, there's a hole in the back of the seat, so that will go into there, whilst at the same time this bit feeds up into here, and we want that jig on there just to hold that in place. And it does look like once that's done we'll need to put another part on there, which I don't know whether I've painted. So pop some glue on there. Push that through there. Now trying to break what I've already done. Okay, as I did before with the other bit, a few more blobs of glue on there, and I think what I'm going to have to do is wait for this to dry before I start trying to bend it. Now we've got the cockpit, I think finished. So essentially, just the last bit I did was to glue that end there. Let's use this to point with. Once that had dried, then pulled the little tag through, strap went through the bottom of the chair, there's a little hole there, managed to bend that down with a bit of tweezers, little blob of glue just coming from the underside just to hold it in place just in there. And then once that was dried I could then pull the straps around. What I have done using the scalpel, just where there are some buckles here, I just gently scraped some of the paint off, and you can just see it catches in the light a little bit more, just so those little harness bits, those bits are sort of silver. Had to put a little bar across here. So that's all fine, so it is essentially ready to drop in. But what we will do is, before we do that, is just to give it a bit of a wash, just to sort of try and bring some of the details out. So for this panel line, the Tamiya panel line accent colour dark brown, I find works quite well for this. So what I want to do is just to use this, just to pop a few bits on here, and this will just hopefully make some of the moulded in detail just pop out, and just generally give it all a bit of a weather. So this, I do find this one works quite well actually for this sort of thing. We'll start with the sides first of all. So we've got different parts here, so I just pop it in, and as I do it, hopefully it just sort of runs around some of these details. I can sort of paint it on a bit. What I might want to do is, after I've done this, leave it to dry a little and then come back with a cotton bud just to wipe off the excess. But what works quite well with, I find, with this is when you wipe the excess off, it kind of just leaves a bit of a mucky layer over, which actually is quite a nice greasy sort of look to it. And you can see hopefully now getting some of these details just starting to pop out a little bit. Not too sure quite how much of that is actually going to be visible from inside, but you get the idea. So that's one side done. And before I close up, what I will be doing is I'll be taking some photos of it anyway, of these sides. I know it's not coming through on the camera that well. But just little dabs, and let the capillary action just pull it in and around. Just get a bit more of a mucky, greasy, grimy sort of feel to it. I know it's not going to be completely mucky, greasy, grimy, but you get the idea going on here. So, now just with the cotton bud, some of these bits where it's gone on a little bit heavy, just wipe off. And essentially, just leaves it in the grooves. It will also lighten a little bit as it dries as well. Basically just a little pin wash there. Just takes away a bit of the newness as well. This of course is the main part we're doing, and essentially what I want to do is just kind of, say, blob it all over. Have done a little bit of dry brushing, and of course where we painted the cockpit green over the aluminium colour, we do actually have a bit more of a natural, where things naturally got a little bit chipped. I say naturally, I helped it along. You have some of that sort of chipping anyway. And again, just putting it over things like the buckles will just help pull that little bit of extra detail out. And as well as on whereabouts there normally would be the holes drilled out, the lightning holes, hopefully the wash will go into those holes and just add that depth of shadow, so it will give the illusion that there'll be actually a physical holes there. This part of me does think probably could have just done that. So I'm being quite liberal with it. I want things to run into all the little nooks and crannies. So on the control column and things, it helps just give it a bit of definition, because otherwise looking in, you kind of, if everything is all the same colour, I mean, it's not so bad with it being cockpit green, but it does kind of mean that you kind of lose some of the definition. Probably putting way too much on. I'm just smearing it around and seeing it running all over the place in here, which is good. Trying to come in from all angles. So that has muckied it up a bit. And whilst it's still damp, just try to carefully rub over with the cotton bud. Off that excess, and it just gives it all a consistent now it's all just got the same sort of layer of this is the filter, basically. That's what we're doing, just putting a filter over it. It's all got that same filter. And some of the details in there. Now just looking a bit more, they're just sort of standing out, just has that bit of shadow. It just helps the eye pull the difference out. What we will do is now, could close it up. What I'm wondering is whether, yeah, no, that should be fine. I was thinking whether I should wait for it to dry before we do that, but I actually think it should be fine. So this pops here. Oh, don't push too much. Make sure that goes here. Okay, that sits. There we go. That's now sitting in there. So actually, before I put some glue on there, as I say, I will take a few quick photos, which then I'll be putting onto the website, which is magicrob. Sorry, what I call that? The website is robsmodels.co.uk. Thinking of something completely different. So you head on to robsmodels.co.uk in a bit, you should be able to see these photos, which I'm just taking now. What I've also done is, before starting to film this, I took photographs without the wash, so it will do a bit of a before and after, so hopefully you can get a bit of an idea of the difference putting this panel wash on there for making the detail sort of pop out and be defined, a bit more defined. Do these panels. There we go, that should do for that. So those photos will be on robsmodels.co.uk. So now we've got those on, we'll now assemble. So at least if this goes on and all that detail gets hidden, we can have a record of what it actually looked like. This around there. Should actually be able to get to that. So first of all, I'm just getting the cockpit to make sure this goes in. I think we got that. Let's give that a moment just to make sure that all sort of grips. Now we've got to get the rest of this all buttoned up. I'll pop a little clamp on about there. Oh. Okay, work our way down the front first of all. Actually, that's going to have a little thing put over the chin, so I can be a little bit more messy there. Basically, the chin. spinner. So, bring this down along the panel lines. A little bit. Already you can tell that is now gripped. Probably still going to have to do a little bit of filling and sanding just to make sure that's a nice smooth finish on there. Actually, what I should have done is this part, should have done this. That would have helped. I could be a bit more liberal putting it on the inside. I'm not going to have that luxury too much here anyway. Should be putting that together. Then that's good. One of these just for that bit at least. Just got to make sure with the clamps, when I'm putting the clamps on, there's not squeezing areas too tightly, which then make upper areas pop out of place. At the moment, that does seem fine. Does seem quite a solid construction. Got that in there. So before doing anything else, I think the best thing to do is now just going to be let this go off, let the glue go off. Don't rush things. Need to put a bit on the bottom of this part here actually, that needs a little bit of wash on as well. And then it will basically be, we can say the cockpit's done, and then it's really going to be moving on to building up the main plane. Getting wings on, there's going to be a few more internal details that need to be done on this part as well. I think there's a few little bits that need to be drilled out, landing gear. But then we're going to be on to the fun part of painting and priming, painting and weathering. But for the moment, I think this is, seems quite a solid lump. It's gone together quite well. No massive gaps there. It's just going to be, once that glue has dried, probably just going to be wanting to file it down just to make sure we've got some lovely smooth surfaces on there. Because I don't believe those are natural panel lines, unlike something like a 109 where you actually have a panel line going down the rear spine, which is of course quite useful. Okay. Let's leave it like that for now and just give this a good few hours just to properly cure before we start fiddling about with it. Just leave it alone and forget about it. Now taking the clamps off, it's had a couple of hours to dry, and yeah, pretty good. Good fit. Obviously needs to make sure everything was sanded down first. Good fit on there. What I've now done is there's going to be seam lines inevitably, even with a good fit. So what I've now done is put masking tape each side of the joins. No need to bother with this bit because there's going to be a part that goes over there anyway, but along the bottom here, the top part there, especially those, I don't think there's meant to be a joint seam panel line there, so I'm going to get rid of it. If there is, I can always rescribe back in, and on the bottom there. So I'll be using this perfect plastic putty, the deluxe material stuff. I'll put a few little blobs of it squeezed out onto just a piece of Tamiya tape. And what we'll now do is, that's quite thick, and literally a couple of drops of water. When I say a couple, just a few. And when I say a drip, that literally was a drip, singular. Take a bit of a drink stirrer and just splodge that in. I'm just trying to thin it a bit because this stuff is water soluble. So I just want to thin it down a little bit. And just make it more of a smoother, more pliable paste. You can see that's already started to break down a bit. You just want to get a smooth mixture. It is quite easy to think I could just do that, especially with this stuff. It's you won't need much, just one more drop of water in there. You sort of think, well, actually, don't bother with the masking. It does make it a lot easier with the masking to clean up. It just makes sure that you're only getting it where it needs to go. You don't have to rescribe any panel lines too much. So I think now we've got an even, smooth consistency. I've gone over onto the mat a little bit. I know it's all wobbling around. You get the idea. I might just even use this bit of cocktail stick. And so I've got some little holes there. That's fine. So we can now just more liberally run that down. And that way we can make sure that we're working it into the gap. I don't want to go quite as far onto the instruments. Work that in. Open up. Now, little holes there, I will need to make sure I open those back up because I have filled them, but that's fine. Again, down, back. The edge, I've not got tape on there, but you can probably already see I've got a little bit of white going into that panel line there. Probably won't need to rescribe that, but you can see how it would. It kind of, even if you're careful, it starts going where you don't want it to go, and we want it to literally just go into the join. You can see I can be a bit more vicious. But really trying to make sure I work it in. Over it and along the rear. And there was a little hole, a little dimple. Now, that's done. And what I want to do actually is take that blob off. Could wait for this to dry, take the masking off, sand it down. What I think I would do though is wait for this to dry, then maybe just run over with another. It's already, as it's thin, it's already starting to dry. Just get a second coat in there. And some of it didn't really even have much that actually needed filling for gaps. And more just, this is more about braces. To be honest, what I probably could have done is with some of these seams is they were so, so tight tolerances anyway. I probably could have just actually sanded them over, and actually probably wouldn't have had any seams, but there was a little bit of seam, so if I'm going to do it in places I might as well just do the whole thing. And now, tempting as it is to start taking tape off and playing with stuff, I think it's just going to be best just to leave this again, just to make sure that it gets fully dried and is completely dried and cured before we start sanding. Otherwise, if it's not dried in the middle, you start sanding, the middle will start balling up because it will still be damp, or if it's before it's cured, you can sand it, get a nice smooth finish, but last bit of moisture comes out, and then actually you get a bit of it sinks down a little bit more again. So you've got to make sure that this is fully dried before we go on to the next bit. Before we do any sanding, let's just get rid of this, and made a bit of a mess there. Clean that off. Pop that to the side. What it will do, and fortunately it's water based, so that can come off quite easily. I just need to wash my fingers in a minute. There's a few other little bits we need to start getting done, preparing. So what we might as well do whilst I'm here is just prep those. What I'll do is I won't be putting those in place yet, but I want to just prep them, get them sort of done so they're ready, just partly to get our stuff off the sprue. So where were they? They were here. So part G11. Now it looks like the tabs are actually where they join is actually where the sprue gate is. There's some bits go on there, so that will need sanding down, but it will also hide the tab. Okay, so that was 11. Make sure I get this. I'm just going to pop them actually on there, just to make sure that they're the right way round. And then we want 13, 14, 15, 16. So I don't know how, if these are essentially the same part, or 13, 14, so I'm putting it literally on 15. And 16. That's quite small. So you can see that what I've done is I've popped those there. It's now just going to be a case of stopping that focus changing. There we go. Oh no. There we go. I adjusted a setting that needed to be adjusted, and now we're out of focus. Let's try that again. And now we're back. I don't know if I'd left that would have been fine. Right. So on each of these parts I've actually placed where they go. I want to do a bit of tidying up where that was connected, using a skinny sanding stick for each of those tabs. Now, one thing to note is the exhausts do have a seam line running around. However, I believe that is meant to be the case, as the exhausts were welded with a seam line. They have made it in two halves. So that's something to bear in mind. And so let's put each of these on. Okay, that was the rear one. I think it's going to be a case of putting a little bit of this on, so it starts softening the plastic there, and that means if I do this with tweezers and it pings, that is gone forever. Not completely convinced. Okay, that will do. I don't know whether I've sounded a bit too much off. Am I putting this on the right way round? That's fine. Should have just left it. There we go. So that is that side. And the same there. We'll just do the rear one first of all. Yeah, if I try to do this with tweezers, I can imagine they would be pinging off and getting lost forever. But just a bit of Tamiya thin, just to get it going. Now with this, I noticed that, okay, these are handed. By that I mean, should have checked this before, but there's some notches on the bottom, so that means that it should, and that locating tab's more towards the top, so that means that it should only go in the right one way up correctly, and if I take that out, it shouldn't go in that side. No, so it won't locate all the way in. That way I know once they're painted I don't need to keep them separate. We know which one will be which. So that's quite clever. Should have checked that before doing that. That's done. What other parts have we got to do? Because I think there's a few other things we can look at doing whilst we're waiting for this to dry. There's a few little bits that need to go on here, but that is basically where I've got the I've already, we won't put these bits on just yet because that's whereabouts the masking tape is, and I could knock them off. So what we'll do is we'll skip that, make sure, hopefully this pen's got a bit of ink in it. No, it hasn't. We'll use, there's a pen, let's see, does that have ink in? So just circle that, just so we know that these bits have got to be done. What's that saying? G30, oh, that bit there. Actually, we can put that bit there on, G30 can go on. Which just, actually, yeah, we can get it on. It's worth at some point me going through the instructions, just making sure that I haven't missed any bits, because we do sometimes get little parts like this easy to do or not to do. So there we go, and that will go under here. Just move those bits of tape out of the way. Not removing that tape, just putting that bit back. I'm not too sure why this is a separate part. Probably because that actually would be a natural panel line there. That will just fit in like so. A bit more nibble around the front, but that's going to be hidden. So coming at it from the where the exhaust stacks would be. So we've now got that bit on. Those bits will be going in a bit. And now we're going to have a bit of photoetch here, so we're going to build up the tail planes. Do that now. And it looks like on here there are various options for... Oh no, that's wingtips. No, that's fine. Okay, so where are my spruce there? Right there. So that's the A12, and then A31 and A13. There we go. So that one was A13, which goes that side. And that one will go on that side. Before we do anything else, let's give these a tidy up. Fortunately, they do seem to have come away quite clean. And here's like the middle section of that. This part here, there's the tab there. I could probably not bother with that, but just in case it hinders something else. I think it's buried away, but let's just get rid of it anyway. So now this will go on here. You can sort of feel it sort of clicks into place. Now one of these goes on top of the... Okay, now this is interesting. Just to point out, these little tabs here overlap. You need to make sure that when they overlap, that one goes on top, one goes on the bottom. If you were to glue that one on first, that one wouldn't. Hang on. Which one actually fits better? Yeah. No. Yeah. So you need to make sure that one goes on first. Of course it is. So run a bit of, that can be a bit more liberal there. This is inside. box in there. Let's click down that panel line. And same again on this side. Pop a little bit on that join where they cross over. A little bit down that panel line and a bit over there. Now looking at it, it doesn't appear that that join there is an actual panel line join, so I probably will want to file it off. Whether I need to use any, it looks quite a clean line, but I will wait for that to go off properly and then just sand that front join there. The rear joins should be fine because that's right, just put it down the panel line parts. That's going to be hidden away. And what we've got here is we've got this little bit of photo etch that gets put together. That goes in there before the rudder goes on. So we need to glue that in place. Let's get that little bit of photo etch first. It should just be a simple case of bending A10. Which is that part there. And it's this sort of detail that you get on this Tamiya kit that we don't get on others of this scale. Now this has got little arrows on, and it actually does also have, you're not going to be able to see it, possibly, no, but there is, on that rear side, there is arrows, so I want to make sure that those arrows on there are pointing that way, and then this folds up. Actually, I think this is going to be too small even for the photo etch bending things, but we could just literally just bend it like so. That was easy enough. So that will now be sandwiched between the rudder, which I'll take that off now, these screw gates. They've actually, some of these they have actually put in places where they are not going to get in the way. So that one was on the end of the tab there, which I will just file down purely because I don't know how deep the slot is for that to go in. And that was one right on the bottom there, tucked away, so that's good. Not like right on the leading edge or anything like that. So we'll need to put the tailplane on first, but that would just slot in there. I'm just checking when that slots in. Okay, lucky I checked this. It's not fitting, you can see there's a gap there. There's a little tab there to make sure that goes in, which has actually got sealed up with glue. Two options: I could remove that tab, or as it's here, just drill that out. We'll go for that. We just, that should be fine. Again, just wanted to check that, and lucky I did. That's safe. That's safe. So that's where that location. Oh, I didn't even need to drill, I just needed to push. There we go. Clicked in. It just got a little bit where the glue was, just kept it a little bit. That's fine, that's fine. We'll need that in a bit actually, because we need to drill some holes out there. So that's fine. Note direction. So let's use a little bit of super glue to keep that in place as well. First of all, we pop this in, but before we do that, I just want to sand those edges using a more smoother sponge. So you don't really need filler on this. It's just those. It's not. Sometimes some kits have it right on the edge. This isn't. This was there. Actually, as I'm sanding, you can always see that the line is a bit more visible, but that's just because I've sanded it down. And that now, it's sort of more, it sounds odd, more visible, but you can't feel it. So now this will go in this way up. Make sure it is the right way up. Just sound that bit. I think I have a bit of excess glue come out there on that end. I've got a partial fingerprint just in there. That's fine. There we go. It's nice and smooth. And that, get rid of that bit of tape. I go in like so. What we'll do. We want on the reverse. That's fine. So you can see this is still a bit, haven't completely dried. It's gone off. I'll rub that down. It's fine. The tail plane being on here won't get in the way for that. Then we needed to put this on, but with this, we need to make sure that the arrows are pointing down. So the arrows in there. Actually, what we'll want to do. Just going to check. It doesn't really show it as it's built up. Just want to get an idea of exactly where this goes. Oh, it will cover that part there. So, before we do that, we will take super glue, cocktail stick, and then this part here, that's going to go over. I'm just going to pop on. A bit of glue over there. Take this which way was the arrow. The arrow points down. Relative to this way up. That little plate goes there, and I think that goes in like so. kind of seems mildly pointless because that's not really going to be visible at all, but it's there. So a little bit of photo etch, completely pointless, which won't be visible at all, but we know it's there. Whilst that's there, I'm just going to pop a bit more of this super glue over that, just get that secured in. Pop the lid on this before I knock it over. I've already had one super glue spillage today. Give that a moment just to dry off, and then this will go in. What we'll do is going to run. I mean, this has actually got quite a good friction fit anyway. But I'll pop a bit of this down the tab, then push the tab in. Now we're done. Now, to be honest, what probably should have done is, what could have done is bent that tab beforehand, just so you've got a bit of offset. I'm a bit annoyed I didn't. To be honest, I could always try to pull that out and do it, but that's fine. One of the annoying things with this kit compared to the next one in the range, which was the, we'll look at it later, which was the 109, basically this one's a sister kit. Quite a lot of it was posable, whereas this, none of it's posable. Whereas that you had the option for flaps down. Oh, one thing just want to point out is I did also have that little, I'd been putting on a little bar that went across there. I then realised that it actually was only for the canopy closed position. I'm in the canopy open position, or will be, so I just removed that little bar. It was fine, the glue hadn't properly dried, and I just put a little dot of paint just to make good. Couldn't really see it anyway. So we've now done that section. What we'll need to do is, I won't put on now, little actuator for the rudder, so we won't do that, but what we will do, we want to get it sort of painted before putting that on, but I will take that, that will need to go on, but that's a bit more obvious, but we'll circle this, and actually leave that. Still want this to dry. As I say, this isn't gone it, that'll be touch dry, but we still want to wait a few more hours before we start trying to sand that down. A couple of holes though that we do want to be putting in places, so a bit more prep, and that is some holes in here. Oh, that's just very roughly done. I put a bit of a wash on there just so that will be at the bottom of the cockpit. So we need to drill out these holes, one there, and tidy up those tabs. Actually, no, I have. And then get ready for starting to get these bits together. So where was that drill, and what size hole have I just got? So that should be, I think that's a 1mm I've already got in there. That's a point. No, this would be, this is the 0.6. Put that the wrong way up. 0.7, but no, I did have the right one. So that is these two smaller ones. I don't think this is for anything to actually attach to. I'm not too sure. Don't think it is. I think they're more just, could be one like landing lights, that sort of thing. Identification lights were maybe, or just drainage points. It's those. Then we need the slightly. Actually, whilst this is in, use that to start that off. And increase that to the 1mm, which I think is that one. The other one, 0.01 of a millimetre out. I'm sure it'll be fine. might just be these holes are just a bit too small to be done in the plastic. And to be honest, if you missed them, it wouldn't be like a major issue. Smooth that off. Only really detail that you and I know is there. Right. Got those holes in there. These will need painting. So I'm just wondering whether what I'll do is I'm going to make these before painting. I'm actually going to put on here, and then that can be sprayed at the same time. Do those parts, get those painted up. See what those are in a moment as well. Screw B. So again, main landing gear bays, that's fine. What's this part here? B3. Okay, so it's got to be having some paint on the inside or the outer part of it as well. So it gets paint on the inside and on the outside part, I think. Let's build this up, it'll make a bit more sense, I think, once it's being built up. So again, let's remove these parts, put them on the piece. So this is B1. Two. B3. The numbering system for this Tamiya kit is, hang on, let's just check, that's B4. It's done more for whereabouts they appear. Oh, now on to sprue G. More about whereabouts they appear on the sprue rather than how they get put together. So this is G23. That must be G24, and it is. Each part a quick tidy. Now it does appear what they've done. They have tried to do some of the sprue joins or the sprue gates again on the bits that you won't see or the bits that have got tabs, but I do just want to give them a neaten anyway, just in case. I don't want that to impede on anything later. It will come away pretty cleanly. So, for example, by that I mean if there's like a sprue gate part, maybe that makes it fit flush on here, but then if on the opposite side there's a little tab sticking up only by 0.5 millimeter, it could make the top part of the wing then not sit on it properly. I'm hoping Tamiya have actually sort of allowed for tolerances, that sort of thing in there, but you never know. So we make each of these up as a circle, just trying to work out which way is effectively up on each. So that's got a little key locking sort of bit there. That is quite nice. We'll just pop the glue on that bit there, and then that just locks in. Excellent. And we'll do this one, and this has got two go round, two little tabs that go through those two little holes, and that goes really neatly. I'm impressed by that. We can just put the glue on those tabs there. Okay, I've got to admit I'm quite impressed by that one. Same again, what was the order? So I think we do the larger flat piece first. So glue on there. That gives a moment just to make that go a little bit tacky. Basically it melts the plastic, so when those parts come together it can grab it a bit quicker. And then this, get it the right way round. One tab slightly bigger than the other tab. And that literally, I mean it does literally click. And what you can just do is use a bit of glue just where that tab is, so that just capillary action then just pulls that into the join. Oh, those done nicely. Tamiya, well done on that one. So now it should be a case of fitting these on. Hang on, there we go. Fitting these in here, so hopefully these are the right way round. The left and right. Which way is up though? And that. Put that, and yeah, what was quite interesting is they don't just go in. They're not straight in. They've kind of got a bevel angled. But there are little keyed bits just to make sure they go in and locate properly. We can just run the glue around those outer bits and in those little keyed joins. It should mean that the glue is all happening on the bit that won't be visible. Same again that side. Now these bits I'm going to be painting at the same time, so that's going to be the XF21, which is, where's my crib sheet, I've forgotten, XF21, I think that's the metallic colour. No, that's the underside colour. Okay, so for this version that I'm doing, the A version, XF21 would be what the underside colour is there anyway. For the B and C versions, it would actually be the metallic colour. So that would be on the top part of the wings, as well as the internal parts there. But it also looks like these parts, which would be visible, would also need to be then the AS12, which is the metallic. Now I just want to check here, I've already done this bit, so I think what I need to do is before putting this on I might need to do a little touch of paint. Let's find out. Take this part off. So this part, which way round? That way round, should be a bridge in that sort of tunnel there. That's good. And that gives us, yeah, you can see we've got the metallic colour going on in there, but I see what they're wanting is that needs to be a bit of metallic on the side walls of that part there. So the rest of that's not going to be visible, it's literally just the side walls of that part that might be. I've got, I found basically this, well, what I found, this silver is very similar to the aluminium that I've been spraying on. I'm sure if you put complete like for like, there's probably going to be differences, but it's close enough for this. I'm just going to take a little bit of that aluminium or silver there and just paint on that side bit. And it is, yeah, just that bit. It's fine, same on the other side. Hardly any on there. Not sure how much of it far of it bridges over. But that now means that I'm assuming that also that little channel there, would that be visible? I'm saying not to, so I won't bother. So that now means we can get rid of that. I'll be honest with that. It's very similar to that what I've already painted there. So this has already got some little location tabs on there. This channel goes over there. That now means that the edges of those wheel wells match up, and to be honest, to my eye, that is the same colour silver. So again, we can get the glue one, we can be a bit more liberal with it because we're doing it on the side that isn't seen. Those little location tab bits there. And so, that not only adds a bit of strength to it, brings those parts together. In